Okay, in this tutorial we're going to get to our front end finally. Now we've actually learned all the skills to sort of populate the front end from our tables, from the data that's in our databases. So we can actually just tweak some of the code that we have from our back end. So I'm going to reach into the back end here, and I'm going to go to the stories page, and I'm going to copy and paste our code that accompanies our select query. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this block right here. That includes the table and everything. So I'm going to copy. So I need to grab everything. I'm going to copy that. Go ahead and close the stories page. I'm going to open my index page. I'm going to come down into my main left area, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in there just as is. I'm going to do some tabbing. Well, I may sort that out here in a bit, but just to show you, I'm going to save that. Now I'm going to refresh my browser. So this was the content that we had from the back end. Now it doesn't really make a lot of sense on the front end, so what we need to do is we need to retool the markup and maybe some of our PHP here to sort of make this look more like something that would appear on the front end of a website. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our code, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all the table elements. So I'm going to delete that table content. I'm going to delete all the markup so I'm just leaving what's being echoed. So there's that. I'm going to get rid of this anchor element and the TDs. Then I've got the time it was published. Then I'm going to get rid of the entire delete. I'm going to get rid of the TR. I'm going to get rid of the table. And just so you can see on the back end, I'm going to stack those up. Now they'll echo in sort of all jammed together, but just so we can take a look. Now I'm going to sort out my tabbing. Let's do one more. All right. So let's take a look and see what that looks like on the front end now. So like I said, it's going to be all jammed together. It looks like I left the story IDs in, so I'm going to get rid of that. I don't really need the story ID. So again, if you remember this while statement, we're running a query, and it's going to create a block of these elements for each row that exists in the database. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the browser, refresh. So we need to style this content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a div inside the while statement. So I will create a div, and since this thing will be replicated, I'm going to use the class attribute. So class equals, and I'm going to call this story teasers. I'll wrap that, and then I'm going to tab those over. And then so inside each story teaser, we're going to have a headline. So I'm going to wrap the headline in an H2, and I'm going to keep that story published momentarily, but we also need to create a teaser. So I'm going to create a P element, and I'm going to echo the story teaser. So I need to change this to teaser, and then close the P element. So I'm going to save that and sort of refresh and take a look at what that's done. So you see now it's no longer stacked together. I mean, they are starting to be broken up, but may not use that date there. So just, I mean, we'll talk about the story published as you all start working independently. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And then I'm going to refresh the page. So we start to see now we can go in and start styling things. I'm going to add this because eventually we're going to click on this and it's going to go to a story page. So I'm going to add an ahref around my story headline. So again, I'm nesting my markup elements. And we're going to make that when that's clicked on, it goes to story.php. When it goes there, we're going to echo the story ID and pass the story ID value to the story page. So I'm going to copy this and change this to story ID. And then I'm ready to close that href and the A. And then on the other side of the headline, I'm going to close the anchor element. So now if I look at my browser again and I refresh, now I see I have hyperlinks, and as we go to the story page, which I haven't created yet, it's passing the story ID value. So that's good. If we want to go ahead and see how that works on the back end, so I can go in and log in. So I can go to my Gaylord CMS, my site, and there's my login. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here. And so if I want to post another story, I'd select a section, type in a headline, type in some copy, and if I hit post, the story has been added to the database. I can see it reflected on the back end, and if I refresh the front end, you see now I have there. So that really concludes this tutorial. Now you can go in and style this as wanted. So let me go ahead and do one style thing before I wrap up this tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and close my index page. So I'm going to actually create a style for story teasers and probably this H2. So let me go into my style sheet. And so what I do is just reach inside here and place somewhere in here. I'm going to create that style for that class story teasers. Okay, so say for instance I want to do border bottom 1 pixel solid black. And so now at the bottom of each module that's containing those little teasers, it's going to add a little line. So you see I need to do some spacing here, so I can add some padding and margin if I want to really style up this style. Let's do one other thing too. Let's say inside the story teasers, I want to style the H2. Actually, I need to style the H2A. So I could say text decoration, and I'll make that none. So this will make the underline go away. And say I want to turn those headlines, instead of blue like that, I can style them with the color element and call them black. And then refresh. And so now it's sort of styled, so you can see it's really nothing. Once you kind of have the sort of PHP going, what you learn on the back end, you can apply that to the front end, and then it really is just styling. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this tutorial up. In the next tutorial, we're going to catch that URL that's passed to the story page and then populate the story page.